In 1943, at the height of World War II, the U.S. military was locked in a desperate race for technological superiority, because whoever controlled the most advanced weapons controlled the outcome of the war. And according to one story, one experiment may have gone too far. It supposedly happened at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard on a ship called the USS Eldridge. Now, officially, the Eldridge was just a regular Navy destroyer escort. Nothing unusual. But years later, people would claim that wasn't true. They said the Navy had been secretly working on something called Project Rainbow, an experiment designed to make ships invisible, not just to radar, but to the human eye. So on the day of the test, the Eldridge sat quietly in the water. And then, without warning, massive generators on board powered up. Witnesses nearby said they could hear a low electric hum, growing louder and louder, until suddenly, the ship was surrounded by a thick, greenish fog. At first it just clung to the hull, then it spread, engulfing the entire vessel, and then the USS Eldridge disappeared completely. Not faded, not hidden, gone. Now, if that was the end of the story, it would already be unbelievable. But according to the legend, it gets much worse. Because moments later, the same ship was reportedly seen over 200 miles away, in Norfolk, Virginia, just sitting there, as if it had always been there. And then, just as suddenly, it vanished again, only to reappear back in Philadelphia, exactly where it started. But when the ship came back, something was horribly wrong. Crew members stumbled off the deck, disoriented, violently sick. Some couldn't speak. Others couldn't even recognize where they were. A few were said to have lost their minds completely. But the most disturbing claims were about the sailors who never made it off the ship, because according to witnesses, some of them had become part of it. Bodies partially embedded in the metal hull, arms fused into walls, legs trapped inside the deck, alive but unable to move, screaming until they weren't. Now, the US Navy has always denied this story. Historians say there's no credible evidence that anything like this ever happened, and most believe the entire tale came from a series of hoaxes, misunderstandings, and exaggerated wartime rumors. But here's the thing. During World War II, the military was experimenting with advanced technology, radar invisibility, electromagnetic fields, highly classified projects. So while the Philadelphia experiment, as it's told, is almost certainly not real, it exists just close enough to reality to make you wonder. Because if you push science far enough, if you start trying to bend light to hide entire ships, at what point do you risk bending something else? Something you can't control. Something like reality itself.